Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. I rise for a point of personal privilege to introduce guests in the gallery, followed by a story.
Please.
Okay, welcome to Monday Mental Illness Day. I have guests in the gallery. The Matthew family, if you can just stand up, please. Kristen White is the sister. James Quinn, brother of Matthew. Don Carroll, the mother. And George Carroll, the stepfather of Matthew. I'm going to read the Matthew story today. I also want to introduce our Mad Moms. If you could all stand up. Lisa Castellanos, Twyla Lake, Frances Musgrove, Sharon Barnes, Natasha Chapman, Patricia Henderson, Tanya Joy Rayner, Titus Eichelberger, Kathy Boltz, Italo the service animal, Antonio Alcazar, Deborah Giesling, Holly Giesel, Jane Jepson, Rachel Streff, Melissa Ellis Rado, Amy Fackrell, Dan Jones, Judith Holmes, and Austin Knoll. Welcome to the Senate. Followed by Matthew's story. Matthew's family is from District 17. For years, Matthew's life was normal and his future was bright. He worked at a grocery store to pay for college, excelled in school, graduated from aircraft mechanical school, and got a good job at an aerospace company in the field that he loved. Matthew also was smart, gentle, sensitive, and kind. He could make anyone laugh. When he gave you a hug, you felt his love. Aviation was Matthew's passion. He excelled in school and went on to work for an aerospace company. But as the illness set in, the dysfunction in his brain became louder than any other voice in his life, and the sparkle in his eyes slowly disappeared. But at age 29, Matthew began to hear voices. Specifically, he heard people shouting all around. They called him names like idiot and imbecile. They accused him of being a thief and a pedophile. Matthew came to believe that police and secret government agencies were watching and following him, perhaps trying to kill him. These voices around Matthew were not imaginary. They were real symptoms signaling the onset of schizophrenia. This is a dangerous neurodegenerative brain illness that causes people to see things, hear things, and believe things that are not real except in the person's mind. Like most individuals experiencing schizophrenia and other psychotic illnesses, the voices, technically known as auditory hallucinations, as completely real. For Matthew, they sometimes did not stop, sometimes 24 hours a day, 7 days per week. Strange and hostile people followed him, yelled at him, did strange things around him. Like most people with schizophrenia, Matthew was unable to comprehend that he was sick and that the voices and his paranoia were the result of his brain disease. Over the next decade, Matthew's family tried everything to help him: court-ordered treatment, hospitals, expensive treatment facilities, and private doctors. But navigating Arizona's system for people designated with serious mental illness was nearly impossible. Matthew's family experienced a system that often worked against them. Doctors at Cope Community Services in Tucson did not return phone calls. Staff ignored family questions and information that the family offered about Matthew. Facilities that assured the family they could treat Matthew and charge the family often gave up after a few months, saying, "Matthew is the kind that ends up on the streets." Without effective treatment, Matthew continued to deteriorate. His existence was a dangerous and bizarre world where he was a celebrity in a Steven Spielberg film or a famous singer whose lyrics Justin Bieber stole. He fixated on certain religions, accused his family of lying and keeping secrets, and went knocking on neighbors' doors asking strange questions. He disappeared for several days at a time, leaving his family panicked. We need more long-term psychiatric facilities and access to beds at the Arizona State Hospital. Long-term treatment needs to be compassionate, competent, and safe with oversights granted of his 39th birthday. Long-term treatment needs to be compassionate, competent, and safe with oversights granted of his 39th birthday, Matthew shot himself and died. Despite his family's best effort to keep him safe, he was gone. When Matthew's family found his body, sticky notes covered his apartment walls. Do not listen to the voices. Schizophrenia affected Matthew and held him captive, but it did not define him as a person, and it should not have cost him his life. There are ways to manage schizophrenia, even treatment-resistant schizophrenia like Matthew's. But the SMI services available for Matthew were no match for his schizophrenia. Matthew required long-term, high-efficiency antipsychotic medication, psychosis-informed therapy, and sufficient time to safely stabilize in a secure residential treatment facility. Matthew's story signals that Arizona needs to do three things: expand SMI services to include secure residential treatment facilities and longer-term psychiatric beds. Number two, hold SMI providers accountable to use best practices in treating illnesses like schizophrenia and employ better trained behavioral health providers and staff. These solutions are possible. SB1101 provides secure behavioral health residential treatment facilities. 1100 and 1103 would improve the Arizona State Hospital for patients needing longer-term commitments. We can find ways to end unnecessary disability and suffering for our loved ones suffering with debilitating brain illnesses like schizophrenia. This is our Mental Illness Monday story. And if Matthew's parents can stand it, and I'm requesting just for a moment of silence for Matthew.
I'd ask the Senate to go ahead and stand for a moment of silence in memory.